Are you 60 or older? If so, you've come to the right place. What I'm about to share with you may be one of the most important pieces of information you'll receive about your heart health in the coming years. As a cardiologist with over 2 decades of experience, I've discovered something that could be putting your heart at risk without you even realizing it. And what's most concerning, these are products you likely consider safe, maybe even beneficial. Get ready for a revelation that could completely change the way you take care of your health. Shall we begin? Look, in over 25 years as a cardiologist, I've seen just about everything. But in recent years, something has started to catch my attention in a very particular way. Do you know what it is? Patients arriving at my office with heart problems that seemed to have no obvious explanation. They were people like you, careful about their health, going for walks, trying to eat better, not smoking. Yet even so, they showed heart changes that left me puzzled. Blood pressure rising for no apparent reason, heart rhythms turning irregular, some reporting strange palpitations. At first, I was confused. I checked the tests, reviewed the medical history, investigated possible causes. Then I began asking a different question. Tell me about the supplements you take, and that's when everything began to make sense. Donna Maria, 68, came to me with palpitations that kept her awake at night. She'd been taking a natural supplement for extra energy. Mr. Joe, 72, showed up with uncontrolled blood pressure even though he was taking his medication exactly as prescribed. He'd been using a natural joint product for months. You might be thinking, but doctor, if it's natural, it can't be harmful, right? That's exactly the trap many people your age are falling into without realizing it. Let me be very clear with you. Natural does not mean harmless. Snake venom is natural, poisonous mushrooms are natural. And many supplements sold as miraculous and natural could be causing serious problems for your heart, even if you don't notice yet. Over these years in my practice, I've identified 5 very popular supplements among people over 60 that may be silently damaging your cardiovascular system. Products you've probably seen on pharmacy shelves, on TV, or recommended by a friend. The most worrying thing is that these problems happen gradually. You don't feel anything in the first month, maybe not even in the second. But deep down, without you noticing, your heart is being overworked, your blood pressure affected, your blood vessels suffering. Why does this happen? Because as we age, our bodies process substances differently. The liver doesn't work at the same speed it did when you were 30, the kidneys filter more slowly. The heart needs more care, not more stress. There's also a very important issue I need to share with you, the lack of adequate regulation of these products. Unlike the medications I prescribe, which go through years of testing and studies, many supplements reach the market without solid scientific proof of their long-term safety. Have you ever stopped to think about that? When I prescribe a heart medication, I know exactly the right dose, the possible side effects, how it interacts with other drugs. With supplements, that safety often doesn't exist. I'm not here to scare you, I'm here to protect you. My goal is for you to keep living with quality heart healthy, enjoying your family, your grandchildren, your plans. And for that, you need to know the truth about what you're putting into your body. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal which 5 supplements are dangerous, explain exactly how they can affect your heart, and, most important, show you safe and effective alternatives to keep your health on track. Because in the end, taking care of your health isn't about taking more things, it's about taking the right things. And you deserve to know the difference. Shall we embark on this journey of knowledge together? Your heart will thank you, doctor. I just want to improve my memory. Everyone says ginkgo biloba is good for that. I hear that sentence at least 3 times a week in my office. And every time I do, my physician's heart tightens, because I know I must explain a truth many people don't want to hear. Let me tell you about Mrs. Carmen, 65, retired, a devoted grandmother. She came to me because she was experiencing minor bleeding sometimes from her gums when she brushed her teeth. Other times bruises appeared on her skin even though she hadn't bumped into anything. Doctor, I don't understand what's happening to me, she said, worried. During the consultation, I discovered that Carmen had been taking ginkgo biloba on her own for 8 months after seeing a TV commercial promising a young person's memory at 60. What she didn't know is that this plant, so often marketed as natural and harmless, was thinning her blood and making it harder for it to clot. Did you know ginkgo biloba has anticoagulant properties? That means it thins your blood, just like some of the medications I prescribe for patients with clotting problems. But here's the danger. You're taking it without medical supervision, without knowing the right dose, and very likely without realizing whether you already take other drugs that do the same thing. For people your age, that can be extremely dangerous. Why? Because many of you already take some type of doctor-prescribed anticoagulant like aspirin to prevent heart attack or stronger blood thinners for circulation issues. When you add ginkgo biloba to that mix, you're creating a dangerous cocktail. The result can be internal bleeding, hemorrhage, or even complications during a simple surgery. Imagine having to undergo a minor procedure and your blood can't clot properly. This isn't fiction, it's something I see happen. But the problems with ginkgo don't stop there. Recent studies show it can cause heart palpitations in sensitive individuals, especially those who already have an irregular heartbeat. Do you know that sensation that your heart is skipping or beating out of rhythm? It could be the ginkgo. Another point that worries me greatly is its interaction with blood pressure medications. If you take medicine to control your pressure and add ginkgo biloba on your own, you may be creating a combination that leaves your pressure unstable. One day it can be normal, the next it can plummet, leading to dizziness, falls, and even fainting. But doctor, what about my memory? I really feel like I'm forgetting more things. I understand your concern, and it's valid. But let me be honest with you. The most rigorous scientific studies on ginkgo biloba and memory do not show significant benefits. You heard that right. The improvements some people report may be the placebo effect. You believe you'll get better, so you feel better. Or it may be that you started paying more attention to your memory after beginning the supplement, giving the impression of improvement. What really works to keep your memory sharp? Regular physical exercise, a good diet rich in omega-3 like fish, reading, brain-challenging games, and most importantly tightly controlling blood pressure and diabetes if you have them. If you're taking ginkgo biloba right now, don't stop all at once. That can be dangerous too. Talk to your doctor. Tell them exactly how long you've been taking it and at what dose, and ask for guidance on how to taper off safely. Remember, your safety is worth more than any promise of a miracle memory. There are proven, safe ways to care for your mind and your heart. You just need to know what they are. Doctor, my granddaughter said I should take ginseng to get more energy. She bought it at the pharmacy and said it's natural, so it can't be harmful. Mr. Roberto, 69, told me this while I was looking at his electrocardiogram showing an arrhythmia that hadn't been there in last year's exam. Roberto had been taking ginseng for 4 months. He woke up at 5 a.m., went for his walks, tended the garden, but felt he didn't have the same energy as before. Ginseng seemed like the perfect solution until he began to experience palpitations and a strange sensation in his chest, as though his heart were racing too fast. What Roberto didn't know, and perhaps you don't know either, is that ginseng is a natural stimulant. It acts on your nervous system in much the same way as caffeine, but more intensely and for longer. For a 60 or 70-year-old heart, that can be an unnecessary, dangerous overload. Let me explain in simple terms what happens in your body when you take ginseng. Imagine your heart as a car engine. Over the years, this engine needs extra care, proper oil, quality fuel. Ginseng is like stepping on the accelerator for no reason, forcing the engine to run faster when it should maintain a steady, healthy pace. The result? Your heart can start beating irregularly, your blood pressure can rise, and you may develop those bothersome palpitations that steal your sleep and peace of mind. But there's something even more worrying that I've discovered in my medical practice. Ginseng can mask important signals your body is trying to give you. That fatigue you feel at the end of the day. It might be your heart asking for rest, or your blood pressure needing a medication adjustment. When you take ginseng, you fool your body with artificial energy, losing the chance to spot real problems. Mrs. Sylvia, 64, is an example I'll never forget. She took ginseng to keep up with her granddaughter during the day. "I feel like a Duracell battery," she said, laughing. But she didn't realize she was overstraining her body. When she came to my office, she already showed signs of cardiac overload that could have been avoided. Another crucial point, If you take medications for high blood pressure, diabetes, or heart problems, ginseng can directly interfere with how those drugs work. It can either weaken or intensify their effects, creating a dangerous roller coaster for your health. For instance, if you take medication for diabetes, ginseng can push your blood sugar to low, causing hypoglycemia. If you take blood pressure medicine, it can make your pressure spike unexpectedly. It's like trying to drive a car with the brake and the accelerator pressed at the same time. But doctor, how do I get more energy, then? That's a very important question. And here's the answer I give all my patients. Real energy doesn't come from stimulants. It comes from a well-cared-for body first. Check whether you're sleeping well. Many people your age have fragmented sleep and don't realize it. A restorative 7 to 8 hours of sleep is the best energy drink there is. Second, make sure you're eating properly. Skipping meals or eating too little can leave you drained. Third, get regular checkups. Fatigue can be a sign of anemia, thyroid problems, or other treatable conditions. If you're taking ginseng now, talk with your doctor before stopping. Some types of ginseng can cause withdrawal syndrome if stopped abruptly, leaving you even more tired for the first few days. True energy at 60 or 70 comes from taking good care of what really matters: adequate sleep, balanced nutrition, regular exercise, and most of all medications correctly prescribed by your physician. Your heart will thank you for not pushing it beyond its limits. Did you know that, according to recent data, more than 43% of American adults over 60 take calcium supplements regularly? That represents roughly 24 million people in the United States alone, millions who believe that the more calcium, the better. But here's the frightening truth I've discovered in my practice. Many of those people may be harming their hearts without realizing it. Doctor, I take calcium every day because I don't want to break my hip the way my sister did. The more calcium, the better for the bones, right, Mrs. Beatrice, 71, said this as I explained why her arteries were stiffer than they should be for her age. This is one of the most dangerous beliefs I see in my office. Yes, you read that correctly, dangerous. Taking too much calcium, especially without medical guidance, can turn your arteries into rigid tubes, forcing your heart to work much harder than it should. Let me explain what happens in simple terms. Your arteries are like flexible hoses that carry blood throughout the body. Over the years, they naturally become a bit stiffer. But when you take too much calcium without the other nutrients needed for it to be used properly, some of that calcium can deposit in the artery walls, making them even harder. The result, your heart has to pump much harder to push blood through those stiffened arteries. It's like trying to force water through a clogged pipe. You need much more pressure. And that extra pressure is what we call high blood pressure. One of my patients came to my office after a routine checkup, showed his blood pressure had risen considerably. Doctor, I don't get it. I watch my diet, I walk, I take my meds exactly as prescribed. When I asked about supplements, I discovered he'd been taking 1,000 to 100 milligrams of calcium a day on his own for 2 years. The problem isn't calcium itself, it's essential for our health. The problem is taking calcium alone, in high doses, without the partners it needs to work properly in the body. Those partners are vitamin D, vitamin K2, and magnesium. Without them, calcium gets lost in the body and can end up where it shouldn't be. Here's something few people know. Recent studies show that people who take calcium supplements alone have a higher risk of heart problems than those who get calcium from food. Why? Because in foods, calcium comes bundled with other nutrients that help the body use it correctly. Another very important point, if you take heart medications, excess calcium can interfere with how those drugs work. Some blood pressure medicines, for example, control the flow of calcium into heart cells. When you take too much supplemental calcium, you may be fighting against your own medication. But doctor, how am I supposed to take care of my bones? You're absolutely right to be concerned, and I won't minimize that worrying. Weak bones are a serious issue at our age. But the solution isn't to flood your body with isolated calcium. The best way to strengthen your bones and protect your heart at the same time is first, get calcium from foods rich in the mineral, dairy products if you tolerate them, sardines, broccoli, kale, sesame seeds. In these foods, Calcium comes packaged with other key nutrients. Second, make sure you have adequate vitamin D. Without it, your body absorbs only 10 to 15% of the calcium you consume. With it, absorption rises to about 40%. Ask your doctor to check your vitamin D levels. Third, do weight-bearing exercise. Carry grocery bags, climb stairs, do light strength training. These activities strengthen bones far more effectively than any supplement. If your doctor truly decides you need a calcium supplement, ask for a formula that also contains vitamin D, vitamin K2, and magnesium. And never take more than 500 to 600 milligrams at a time. Your body can't absorb more than that in one go. Mrs. Beatrice, whom I mentioned earlier, cut her calcium dose in half, started taking vitamin D, and added more exercise to her routine. Within 6 months, her tests showed more flexible arteries and better controlled blood pressure and, most important, her bones remained strong. Remember, more isn't always better, especially when it comes to your heart. It needs smart care, not unnecessary overload. Just like calcium, iron is one of the most commonly used supplements among seniors. If you don't take it yourself, you certainly know someone who does, maybe a neighbor, a friend from your walking group, or a family member. Most people believe iron is always beneficial, especially for fighting fatigue. But after years of observing patients in my practice, I can say this: excess iron can be one of your heart's biggest silent enemies. Iron is a double-edged sword in the body. In the right amount, it's essential, carrying oxygen in the blood, helping produce energy, keeping you active and alert. But when you have too much iron circulating, it becomes a potent oxidizing agent, literally rusting your arteries and overloading your heart. Here's a simple way to picture it. Leave a nail out in the weather and it rusts, right? Excess iron in your body does something similar to your arteries. It speeds up oxidation, damages vessel walls, encourages fatty plaque buildup, and makes your arteries stiffer and narrower. For people your age, this is especially dangerous because your body no longer eliminates iron as efficiently as it did when you were younger. After menopause, women stop losing iron through menstruation, so the mineral tends to build up. Men, who never had that natural release valve, may have been accumulating iron for decades. The result of that buildup can be devastating to your cardiovascular system. Excess iron is linked to a higher risk of heart attack, cardiac arrhythmias, and arterial stiffening. It can also interfere with heart medications you already take, making them less effective. What worries me most is that most people take iron thinking it will ease their fatigue without even knowing whether they're truly deficient. Did you know fatigue can have dozens of different causes? Thyroid problems, sleep apnea, depression, poorly controlled diabetes, medication side effects. Too much iron will only worsen these issues. Worse still, excess iron can cause the very symptom you're trying to fix: chronic fatigue. It overloads the liver, hampers the absorption of other important minerals, and can even impair heart function. So how do you know if you really need iron? There's only one safe way: specific blood tests. Measuring hemoglobin alone isn't enough. You need to check your iron stores with tests like ferritin and transferrin saturation. Those names may sound complicated, but any doctor knows them. If your tests show you do have an iron deficiency, your physician will prescribe the exact dose you need for the right length of time and will follow up with repeat tests. That's safety. Taking iron on your own is gambling with your heart's health. Now, if you're taking iron without a prescription, stop immediately and see your doctor. Don't stop because I say so. Stop because your heart deserves professional care, not guesswork. Bring all your lab results, explain how long you've been taking iron, and ask your doctor to evaluate whether you really need to continue. To fight fatigue safely, focus on the basics, get good sleep, eat well, keep your other health conditions under control, and exercise regularly. If fatigue persists, work with your physician to uncover the real causes. Remember, your body is wise and efficient. When you give it what it needs in the right amount, it runs perfectly. Excess iron isn't care, it's overload, and your heart already works hard enough without that extra stress. If you've ever browsed a pharmacy, aisle or watched health segments on TV, you've certainly heard vitamin E hailed as the youth vitamin or a miracle antioxidant. Shiny golden capsules promise youthful skin, protection against aging, even prevention of heart disease. It sounds too perfect to be true, doesn't it? And it is. Here's the reality the supplement industry doesn't want you to know. Rigorous scientific studies following hundreds of people for years have found that taking high-dose vitamin E can actually raise the risk of heart problems, especially in those over 60. How is that possible? Let me explain clearly. When vitamin E comes from foods like nuts, seeds, and vegetable oils, it works in harmony with other natural antioxidants. Think of an orchestra where each musician plays a part. But when you take vitamin E alone, in very high doses, it's like one violin blaring by itself, noise instead of harmony. In excess, vitamin E can interfere with vitamin K, which is essential for proper blood clotting. That can lead to unexpected bleeding, particularly dangerous if you already take anticoagulants such as warfarin or even aspirin to protect your heart. But the issue goes further. Research shows that high doses of vitamin E can actually promote oxidation rather than prevent it, the exact opposite of what you want from an antioxidant. It's like hiring a security guard to protect your house, only to have him let the burglars in. For people your age, there's another significant risk. Too much vitamin E can disrupt the absorption and use of other important vitamins, creating nutrient imbalances you might not notice. You may think you're shielding yourself, but you could be undermining your overall health. One landmark study tracked more than 12,000 men for 8 years. The results were clear. Those taking high-dose vitamin E supplements had a higher risk of prostate cancer. Another study, involving over 7,000 people with heart disease, showed that those taking vitamin E were more likely to develop heart failure. These aren't small or poorly designed studies. They're serious research published in top medical journals that have completely reshaped our understanding of vitamin E supplementation. So, is vitamin E bad? Not exactly. Vitamin E is essential for your health at the right amount and from the right source. When you snack on a handful of nuts, sprinkle sunflower seeds, or drizzle olive oil on your salad, you get vitamin E in the ideal dose, partnered with other nutrients that work in concert. The problem arises when we try to improve on nature by taking concentrated doses of a single isolated substance. Your body evolved over millions of years to consume nutrients together, not separately. Break that balance, and you can harm precisely what you meant to protect. If you're currently taking vitamin E capsules, especially doses above 400 E per day, talk with your doctor about tapering off gradually. Don't stop abruptly. Your body may have adapted to the high dose and need time to readjust. Instead of relying on pricey, potentially risky supplements, invest in a diet rich in natural antioxidants, colorful fruits, dark green vegetables, nuts, seeds, and omega-3 rich fish. These foods provide not just vitamin E but hundreds of other beneficial compounds that work together to safeguard your health. Remember, there are no shortcuts to good health. Real protection for your heart comes from consistent, healthy habits, not miraculous promises in golden capsules. We've reached the end of this journey, and I know you may be feeling confused or even worried. Doctor, if I can't take these supplements, how am I supposed to look after my health? I hear this question every day, and I'm going to give you a complete, honest answer. First, I want you to understand something very important. Caring for your heart at 60, 70, or beyond isn't about taking more things, it's about doing the right things. And the right things are simpler and cheaper than the supplement industry would have you believe. Let's start with food. You don't need complicated diets or expensive products. You need real food. Fish at least twice a week, sardines, tuna, salmon, colorful vegetables every day, a variety of fruits, whole grains, nuts, and olive oil. These foods contain all the antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals your heart needs in the form your body recognizes and can use properly. Physical exercise is another fundamental pillar, but it doesn't have to be complicated. 30 minutes of walking a day, 5 days a week, are more powerful at protecting your heart than any miracle supplement. If you can't manage 30 minutes at once, take 3 10-minute walks. The point is to move your body regularly. Now, about supplements, yes, some may be necessary, but only with proper medical guidance. Vitamin D, for example, is essential after 60, especially if you spend little time in the sun. But the right dose varies from person to person and can only be determined through blood tests. Omega-3 South can benefit some people, particularly those who don't eat fish regularly. But again, whether you need them and in what dose must be evaluated individually by your doctor, considering your other medications and health conditions. If you're taking any of the 5 supplements I mentioned in the previous chapters, ginkgo biloba, ginseng, excess calcium, unnecessary iron, or high-dose vitamin E, don't quit all at once. Schedule an appointment with your cardiologist or primary care physician, bring every supplement you're taking, and ask for guidance on how to taper off gradually and safely. During that visit, be completely honest about everything you take, including teas, natural products, and over-the-counter vitamins. Many patients hide this information, thinking they're not real medicines, but it's crucial for your safety. It's also essential to keep your tests up to date. After 60, I recommend a full medical checkup at least once a year, including comprehensive blood work, a cardiac evaluation, and strict control of blood pressure, diabetes, and cholesterol if you have these conditions. One of the best decisions you can make for your heart's health is to have a trusting relationship with your doctor, not someone you see once a year who barely remembers your name, but a professional who knows your history, fears, and specific needs. Someone you can talk to openly about your concerns and who will guide you based on the best available science. Remember, aging healthfully isn't about finding magic formulas or miracle products. It's about consistency in basic care, solid medical relationships, and smart decisions grounded in scientific evidence, not product marketing. Your heart has served you faithfully for decades. Now it's time to return that care wisely, not with risky experiments. Look after yourself lovingly yet intelligently. True longevity comes from simplicity, eating well, moving regularly, sleeping adequately, maintaining healthy relationships, managing stress, and partnering with qualified professionals. That doesn't sell magazines or miracle products, but it works, and your heart deserves what truly works. Your health is far too precious to leave to chance or empty promises. It deserves professional, consistent, science-based care. You deserve to live well, with peace of mind and confidence in your choices. Take care, your heart is counting on it. If this information was valuable to you, consider subscribing to the Better After 60 channel. Here, I share reliable medical knowledge grounded in scientific evidence, especially for those who want to live healthier, higher quality lives after 60. Together, we can make smarter decisions about our health. Click subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you won't miss any content that could make a difference in your life.